Welcome to another episode of the Brand X Podcast. I'm John here with my co-host Deuce. How's it going, Deuce?
Come stop, bitches.
There we go. Well, maybe that was going to answer my question because I hear Diane's at the next desk over. So I was wondering if you would not be able to talk freely since she was there.
No, that don't stop me.
Oh, it doesn't stop you?
Yeah, she knows what she's gotten into.
Okay, just checking.
It's funny you say that because of the way I am. And a lot of people they say, oh, yeah, I'll bet you're not like this at home. And no, I'm just the same. So, like, Diane and I will go out. In fact, we went out this weekend. We went to a coworker and friend's house in Delaware. They bought a gorgeous new home. And we were down there. And it was still, the Deuce show.
Okay.
And they were like, But you know me. You've been out with,
Well, yeah.
I don't change when I'm around Diane.
Okay.
And
just
she
checking.
left anyway. She
All
was,
right.
oh, she got up and ran out.
She should.
Like I was going to swivel the computer. Like, look, there she is. She's at her desk. Runs away. Don't take my picture.
Yeah. Well, this is an audio podcast, so it really wouldn't matter.
Right. Well, she doesn't get it,
I know. It's true. We are trying to actually have a podcast for people in our age group that really don't know that. It's very hard to find people that are of our age group, that of our personality, that would actually still listen to podcasts. We're bringing them over one at a time.
Mm-hmm. Well, Diane has just mastered faxing. So, 1980s technology. So all she knows is she sees your picture on here and she just thinks everything's like audio visual. It's just audio. That's all.
Here's Diane now. Got a fax coming in.
When we both worked together for the same company and they got like a fax machine,
right?
They were like, "Oh, this is like so stupendous." It's like they like even the managers who like that bastard Herb. I hope he's on fire right now. They were like they just could not get over this technology. Like, and we're like, yeah, it's been around for a while. I mean, I'm talking like early '90s. They got a fax machine in the office. And then they got laptops toward the tail end of when I was leaving in '95. And that just like mind blown.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just think about it. Faxes now are 26 years old. Mm-hmm. Or probably older than that.
I think they're older than that. It's just they became affordable 26 years ago.
Right. So everybody had them. And that was like the big thing. Oh, send me a fax. And it would come in on that paper that would roll, and then it would cut it.
The thermal imaging paper.
Right. It would
that
cut
would
it off.
Turn brown and curl up.
Right. And then you'd have to grab it, and you'd have to roll it the other way and put a rubber band around it so it would straighten out.
That's like one of my brushes with, okay, it's time to move on, because in my business, I had a fax service, and the first fax machine I had was one of those thermal imaging faxes, and I had it about 4 or 5 years, and much like Mr. Bojangles' dog, it just up and died. So I go to Staples, and I'm like a true guy. Guys don't ask for help in the stores. I can read. I'll read it. What's in this aisle? Printing paper. Okay, you're looking around, and I can't find this paper at all. Excuse me, I got a cough coming on.
Wow, Deuce coughs.
So I'm looking up and down ha. So I'm looking up and down looking for the thermal imaging paper. So finally I have to succumb and I have to ask the drone, where's the thermal imaging paper? So I ask him, and he goes, you mean for like a fax? I said, yes. Well, we don't sell that anymore. I said, what do you mean you don't sell it no more? Well, they don't make fax machines like that anymore. Oh, so what you're telling me is I'm buying a new fax machine today. And that's when I got the plain paper fax. And that was like a big, but it was like, he's like looking at me like, thermal imaging paper? Why would you need that?
It is amazing the technology that we've seen come and go in our lifetime. There's a lot of stuff that the kids today, you millennials, you didn't have to put up with.
And how fast it changed.
It's
how I mean it improved. Like it would come out, and then 2 years later, it's like vastly improved.
Yeah, I mean in the past 30 years, it's been a revolution, and it's just been going gangbusters. 30, 35 years, it's been going gangbusters.
Yeah, I mean most cars now don't even come with a CD player.
Yeah, why would you need one?
Brand
Who carries CDs anymore?
Well, I have a 2011 Impala.
Right.
That car has a CD player. The following year, I believe they did away with them in at least that particular vehicle.
Right, but now they have.
So now it's got the thumb.
Yeah, but you can go get a thumb drive, put all your music on the thumb drive.
You know, and it's like it's annoying. Just when you think you're caught up, there's a format change.
Right. Well,
like we went albums to cassettes to CDs, and now the CDs are on their way out.
Yeah, well, everything now is on your phone. The music I listen to now in my truck is on my phone. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even carry it. I wouldn't even know how to put it on a drive.
Or satellite radio.
Yeah, well, I have Apple Music on my iPhone. Mm-hmm. So I can just pick a bunch of songs, download. I can make a download list and put it on my phone, whatever I'm in the mood for. Takes me 5 minutes, click, download. It's on my phone, and I go somewhere if I want to listen to
rock
music.
and roll.
Yeah, exactly. And then, if I don't like it, then I take it off. But it's like $15 a month, and they're like, oh, my God, you're spending that much money? Well, first of all, the $15 a month is for me and my kids. So my kids have all this, too. They have access to all that music. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm saving money because I can't tell you how many times I had digital music I bought from iTunes on a hard drive. The hard drive crashed. I lost everything. So I'm happy that the way it is now. I like it.
$15 a month?
$15 a month.
Yeah, that's about what a subscription to Sirius XM is.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's about the same.
Right, and I can put on whatever. I don't have to listen to them program it. I can program it myself. I don't need them. Mm-hmm. They don't know what I like.
Well, there's only 1.6 million channels. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Let me tell you something. I had Sirius Radio, and I tried to listen to that music, and I couldn't. I was sitting there punching around, couldn't find a good song. To be quite honest with you,
really? Well, sometimes that's like sometimes like when all else fails, CD.
Yeah, I listened to Howard Stern. That was the only reason Howard Stern, and then he had Bubba the Love Sponge on after that, and then he had that guy with the scratchy voice. Yeah, what was his name? Pharrell. Pharrell was on at night. He would talk sports and drink. Hey, I'm going to pour one out. Hey, what do you want? What are you drinking? You drinking a beer? And then, you'd pour one out. He'd pour a beer out for you. Mm-hmm. And, or, if you had something else, you're not drinking beer. What do you got? You got a little ganja? Hold on. There you go. So, yeah, and then I would never listen to music on there because, like I said, it was the 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s.
Well, see, you don't drive GM cars, not to get off the topic.
No, right.
Yeah, except for that Venture I sold you. Right. But because XM, that was a GM thing. Mm-hmm. So since that's specifically what I always pretty much drive,
right,
it came with an XM radio. So you kind of got used to it.
Right.
And then they merged with Sirius and...
Then you got Howard Stern.
Well, that was extra on top of it.
Yeah. Nice guys.
Yeah, it was just like, and I knew that was coming because,
I'll tell you what, as soon as Stern pulls up stakes and retires, you can stick a fork in satellite radio. Nobody's going to listen to it.
I don't know about that. It's still pretty popular.
Why would you pay for it? Why would you pay for that when I don't understand?
Well, you're still paying.
You have to pay for the subscription.
Right, but you're still paying for your subscription for what you're doing.
Yeah, but I can do what I want with it. I do what I want.
But there's an app for that on Sirius XM, and you can select what you want to hear also. You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't. Yeah. You know what I said? This is the day.
No, well, that's just it. It's such a huge market now. It literally is a buyer's market. It really is.
Yeah, sure it is, because we get what we want. If we can't, that's what, we want things our way. All of it, not just
like
a hamburger.
Burger King.
Yeah, we want things our way. So when Howard Stern decided to go to satellite radio, I went and I bought one. Now you couldn't. They didn't really have the ones in the cars yet, so I had to buy that external radio.
Right.
And I must have had 3 of them things stolen out of my van. So the last time I had one stolen, I called him. I had the serial number there, and I go to the guy. Here's the serial number. If anybody tries to turn this on, you know that it's stolen. Don't turn it on. And they go, well, we wouldn't do that. I'm like, what do you mean you wouldn't do that? Why wouldn't you do that? Mm-hmm. Well, if they have the radio and all. So these scumbags didn't care. If the radio was stolen, they would let you steal the radio as long as you're going to pay $14.99 a month. So now I said, that's it. Once I found that out, I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know what? You can take your satellite radio and shove it right up your ass.
Now, was that when it was just Sirius before they merged with XM?
No, they had merged. Okay. They had made the merge. And, they said, again, every time you turn around, they had their hand in your pocket for something else. Mm-hmm. You bought the subscription. Now,
now you're
going to have to pay more for
whether it's Comcast or Verizon or anything you're paying for content, they'll figure a way to get into your back pocket.
Right. So now, if I want to listen to Howard Stern, if I had Howard Stern, but now on XM, I think they had Opie and Anthony. So now if I want to listen to Opie and Anthony, now I got to pay more money. And I'm like, I'm paying for, why do I have to pay more money? Oh, well, it's the XM upgrade.
I think, I don't
it's
even
the same
remember.
thing. It's the same. It's the same. You guys are the one. So I'd had enough. And I still have a Sirius Radio in my truck in a box, but I might as well throw it out, to be quite honest with you. Can't stand it.
No, put in the Smithsonian.
And then, now we have podcasting. So now what I do is I load up a bunch of podcasts. I get in my truck. I plug my phone into my radio with a cord, and I play podcasts. Mm-hmm. Absolutely love it. No commercials, no nothing. Laugh if I want to laugh, learn something if I want to learn something. If I want to listen to it, if I feel like I'm into music, I go pick out some stuff. I do it my way. It's all about me, all about John, the way it should be. Mm-hmm. Why am I going to let you people, why are you going to dictate to me how I'm going to listen or what I'm going to do? Same thing with TV. They on demand, if you want a show on demand, now they force you to watch the commercials. If I, record it, I can fast forward through the commercials. Right. But these fakakta TV stations and networks and all, now if you forget, you got to go to on demand, you got to sit through the commercials. Nothing goes up my ass like a red hot poker than having to sit through commercials.
That's the one thing I don't understand is you just can't seem to get away from any advertising at all. Like you go on YouTube, oh, this looks like a cool video, and then you got to sit through at least the first 5 seconds before you get the skip ad link. But then sometimes you'll get one where it's like there is no skip ad. It's like, fuck you, you're watching this commercial. And sometimes they're like a minute and 17 seconds long. You're like, oh.
Right. And that's so you can watch a 30-second video.
Right. It's just like, come on.
So here's my thing. And I understand. I get it. Because the only way they can make money at this is somebody pays for it. Mm-hmm. And do you want to pay for it? Fuck no. So who's going to pay for it? Advertisers. Remember, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Mm-hmm. In other words, the company's taking you and they're selling you as a consumer to advertisers.
And the thing is, it's like you're absolutely right because people say, well, it's no different than the way TV was before cable. I said, yeah, but the difference was if a commercial came on, I knew I had 2 or 3 minutes. I could get up, grab a sandwich, get a beer, go to the bathroom, take a piss. I'm not going to do that when there's just a 30-second commercial on my computer. Am I going to get up and walk away out of the room for 30 seconds?
No, you're going to sit there and suffer through it.
Right. And you're fuming. You're absolutely pissed off. Like,
so
damn this.
Okay, so let me just say this to you. So now you can, for $15 a month, you can get YouTube Red. YouTube Red, there's no commercials. So you want it, let's see, what's that? $150 and $30 for $180 a year, no commercials. Or you have to sit through the commercials.
I'll sit through the commercials.
There you go. That's how they get you.
And grind an axe.
Exactly. Yeah. Same thing with the music. I could go and buy each song for $1.29 a song, or I can pay $15 a month, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Well, see that right there. That's a bargain right there.
Right.
Because if you're really into music like I am, that would be a steal.
Right. So I can do that. And, my daughters have it, and it works out fantastically.
Fantastic.
It's really nice. Yeah, I like it. Anyhow, to get into the show.
Now that we've vented and bitched about.
Now that we've bitched, moaned, and complained.
A myriad of topics.
Right. I was asleep Friday morning, and my phone goes off, and it's you. And you go, 3 is Comedy's talking about you. I'm like, oh, shit. What did I do now? So, and here's the thing that I don't
think I said they're talking about you.
Well, okay. Again,
this is like the theater of the mind that John does.
Well,
he totally puts different words into your mouth.
What did you say when you said talk?
Hey, you got a shout out for 3 is Comedy.
Okay, that's what you said. Now, what did I say? How is the way I said it any different than what you just said?
They're talking about you.
Now, so now this is exactly what I'm talking about. So it's like, hey, they're talking about you on 3 is Comedy. Now, I didn't think it was. Now, I know Jason, Bob, and Mindy. I mean, they're friends of mine, so they're not going to be like that fucking John. There's not. I haven't done anything to them, so they're not going to be that way. All right, bad cop, different story. I've done things to them. did something to them today, to be honest with you. But anyhow, I digress. But the reason I do things with Bad Cop is because I know those guys, and they kind of respect it. You know, it's a ball-breaking thing. But I don't break 3 Is Comedy's balls. So I'm like, okay, so I reach around, I find the phone, I go over, I get 3 Is Comedy, I turn it on. And like Jason opened up the show with like an apology. And I'm like, I was like, why is he apologizing? Because you know how they have the question of the podcast?
Right.
Well, I always, answer it. Well, I don't know why. That's what I do. I can't, on Twitter, I can't pass a poll without voting on it.
Right.
Yeah, I have to.
Really?
I cannot pass a poll without voting.
Wow, you're pretty weak.
Why is that weak? They're asking a question.
No, not specifically 3 Is Comedy. But like any poll you can't pass.
Any poll.
Wow.
Anything. I'm scrolling along, and all of a sudden I see Batman or Superman. I vote.
You're very susceptible to marketing.
Yes, I am.
You're like a salesman's dream.
Yes, I am. I can be talked out of anything or into anything in 15 minutes. So he's apologizing because I left an answer to the podcast, to his question of the podcast, where it was they were talking about mediums and fortune tellers and stuff like that.
Yeah, had you ever gone to a psychic?
Right, psychics. So then I used to joke, well, to be honest with you, I only have 2 balls. Did you just empty your trash?
No. Not as far as you know. I didn't empty it. I put something in there.
Okay. So
it's my OCD kicking in. I was like, it was just staring me in the face. I have to get rid of that. But go ahead.
So I said, look, I only have 2 balls and either one of them are crystal. Making a little joke. And again, it was just a little joke. So when Mindy read it, those guys were like, again, breaking my balls a little bit. They're like, oh, I get it, ha, ha, ha. And so later on, when I listened to it, I put something on Twitter. I said, oh, I did go to a psychic, and they said my joke was going to bomb on 3 Is Comedy. Again, being funny. But when you write something down, it can be taken out of context.
Right. Yeah, well, there's no inflection.
Exactly.
No voice. You can't see, you can't hear the mirth behind it.
Exactly.
It's very sterile.
Unless you know the person. You know the person.
Well, even then.
Right.
I mean,
but
I've had lots of
it.
Misunderstandings, but sending a text to somebody.
Mindy got it. But the guys, and again, even if the guys got it and they wanted to break my stones a little bit about it, that's fine. That's what we do here. That's what we do as podcasters. And I thought to myself, listen, Jason, I know Jason listens, and Mindy. Jason, you don't have to ever apologize. You want to break my stones or do something like that? I get it. I like you guys. I'll listen to the show. You can't offend me. You can't offend me. So have at it.
It was funny because it was like right out of the box of the podcast. It was like, because I was eating I got all set up, poured my Frosted Flakes, and I'm there all happy eating, and then hey, I'd like to talk. Whoa. So, I was like, well, that was right. That was fast. Right. It was unexpected because, when you listen, when you listen to a podcast for a long time, and I've been listening to this for the longest out of all the podcasts I listen, I love it a lot. You got it down, you got the rhythm down. So when it was sort of like breaking that fourth wall, so to speak, when it was so soon right out of the box, I was like, whoa, this is, But don't get me wrong. It was funny as hell.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I appreciate them thinking that they were worried about it, to be quite honest with you. They're doing their last shows of the year, but now Jason is starting a new show called the WTF of Success. Mm-hmm. Now, I checked for it because I was going to put a link in the show notes about it, but it's not out yet.
Yeah, I did a search on it a week ago when he had mentioned it, and I was like,
ooh. Not out yet.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
And here's the problem, too. Right now, with iTunes, they are not going to put any new... They have, around the holidays now, for some reason, they do it every year. If you don't get it in by a certain date... Oh,
it's a lockout?
Yeah, it's like a lockout. They're like, you know what? Fuck you. We're not putting any more shows in. See you next year.
I wonder why they do that.
I guess I don't know. I guess I get a lot of people going on vacations, or, there's a lot of drinking over there at iTunes, and they just don't feel like putting in new shows.
Yeah.
They put their foot down. That's it.
Yeah, or maybe they just get a massive case of the fuck-its this time of the year.
Yeah.
Like most people do at work.
You got a new podcast? Fuck it. Should have had it in sooner.
Yeah, that goes in January 2nd.
Right. Or whenever.
I'm on vacation this week from work. It was great.
Yeah, you got a case of the fuckets.
Yeah. I was like,
fuck it.
Yeah.
Not me.
I got an epic case of it today because my buddy Ray, he's at work. He just came. I got to thank him also. He came off vacation. He went to Williamsburg, Virginia, and he texted me this morning and says, hey, I bought you a growler full of beer. It's an oatmeal stout. It'll change your life. Do you mind if I come up? No, come right on up. So we got here at 1:30, and then we went out to lunch. And then, of course, we came back. And we just couldn't keep that growler unopened, so.
Yeah. Now, you know, it's funny. I edit a beer podcast. It's called The Great Beer Adventure, and it's a woman up in Maine. And I'll tell you what, the craft beer scene in Maine is like going off the chain. They're supposed to have, I think they have 86 breweries open in Maine right now, craft beer breweries, and they're supposed to double that next year. I mean, they're supposed to have like 200 breweries opening up.
Yeah, and, I mean, craft beer is the shit.
And a lot of them, they don't have distributing and stuff like that. Like, I didn't know what a growler was until I started editing this podcast. A growler is a bottle with a metal thing around it with a cork that you could put it in and then lock it down and then open it up and drink it and then wash it out and do.
Yeah, the beer will stay fresh for about 3 days. So he came back yesterday. So he said, hey, I want to get this to you as soon as possible so you can enjoy it.
So did it change your life?
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome. I like those types of beers, real heavy, dark, full flavored. And speaking of like breweries, you know, Pittman, I don't know if you've seen the advertising for, it's a brewery that opened up in Pittman, which was historically a dry town.
Yes, that's
here in New Jersey.
I did see that.
So in New Jersey, you could get a special license as long as you don't have, I think you can't serve food there.
Which is the stupidest thing. So now people can bring their food in.
Right. And basically, but you can brew right on the premises, and then you can, they call it sampling is what it is. I mean, you're buying the beer and everything. Well, a guy, he just opened up, you probably saw it advertised in Pittman about maybe 6 months ago. He used to work where I work.
Okay.
And he was on night shift. And here he was like brewing beer in his kitchen.
This is what this podcast, The Great Beer Adventure, greatbeeradventure.com. If anybody wants to go listen to it,
I'll have to check it out.
It's a cool podcast because it's got this neat artsy vibe to it. Every time I get done listening to the episode, after I put it together and get done listening to it, I want to go eat wings and drink beer. And I don't even like beer that much.
Yeah, you're kind of a communist that way.
Yeah, I am. So I just want to go get like a burger, some wings, and drink a beer. Mm-hmm. And she was down here for a podcasting conference. So she went to some of the breweries around here. Flying Fish is in Somerdale, New Jersey. She went there. That's a brewery where they brew their own beer. And the Pittman one. And in Maine, what they have is they call them tasting rooms. So you go in, and they have like these little kind of...
That's what they call them here, a tasting room.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
What it is.
So you go in there, and from what I understand from the Pittman one, the one that's near us now...
But that's called Kelly Green, by the way.
Is that what it's called, Kelly Green?
And that's the guy that used to work. I mean, he doesn't know I'm giving him a shameless plug, but I mean, you know, he's a great guy. And he makes great product, and... You know,
I'll be the judge of that. I don't know if I trust you.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyway.
But the cool thing about him is, from what I understand, is like you can go in there and get a whatever they call that thing where you have like all the beers you taste or whatever. I don't know if they call that a runway or something.
A sampler.
A sampler. Mm-hmm. And you can call like the pizza place and have a pizza delivered there. So you can eat your pizza, drink the beer there. Now, how stupid is this effing state that because you have beer, you can't have food?
Yeah. Well, you know,
you can eat it there. They just can't make it.
Well, he's doing so well. He's expanding. Right. And they just opened another brewery in Pittman. It's like 3 doors down from his.
Right. Is it called 3 Door Down Brewery? No.
I don't know. That I don't know. I think they're... It's either about to open or, you know. But in the last election that we just had, it was a big upheaval. Pittman voted to end the dry town status.
Woohoo!
So they're going to actually start, so they're going to start issuing liquor licenses.
Nice.
And now those breweries, that'll be a boom for his business because now he can put in a kitchen.
Yeah, you can have some burgers. Some
whatever he wants to do.
Little pizza, little burgers, little wings.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a Cuban sandwich, a Reuben.
I mean, because beer is like my favorite sport. So, anything to do with beer, it's just like I'm all about that.
I'm telling you, that podcast I do just makes me want to drive up to Maine and just go do a brewery tour and taste, do a tasting tour.
You know where Williamsport is, right?
Yes.
Okay, there's a brewery there. And when my last job, when I used to travel, it's called the Bullfrog Brewery. And it's right in downtown Williamsport. And I would always stay in the Hampton Inn there. And that's where I would always go to dinner.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. It was one of the best, cleanest, most immaculate brews. Because sometimes you go into them, they're like, sometimes they build them like in old warehouses,
right,
or shoe factories and stuff like that. And they'll kind of have that as their motif. But this was like, you see the vats and the brewing equipment, and it was like so clean. It was like a hospital. It was like so sterile looking in there. It was like awesome. Yeah. But then the restaurant was real warm and inviting, and it had a great atmosphere.
Yeah, a lot of these places have a great atmosphere. I'm going to try the Flying Fish because we just did an episode a couple of weeks back, and I'll put the episode in the show.
Silverdale ain't too far from here.
That's right. We could make it over there, and I know they got food there. Mm-hmm. But no, it's kind of cool. So anyhow, to Jason, dude, you don't have to worry about it. I wasn't upset. We're just making jokes here. We're making content, and of course, it didn't stop me from answering the question of the podcast. We don't do anything like that. We don't have a question of the podcast or anything like that. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later because I want to talk to you about what we're going to do next year. This year coming up, I have a couple ideas. I'm going to run it by you. Let the listeners hear. Have like a little podcast meeting.
Okay.
All right. So now to change the subject, where's your sound? Attaboy.
Like I'm a dog. Wow. Thanks.
Oh, you're a little slow on the uptake.
Well, I was sitting here like...
Last week, we did the episode on the Crime and Cocktail podcast. I don't know. Well, I know they know something's up, but I don't know if they've heard our podcast yet. So one of the things with them was that we got feedback from other podcasts, like Emily from the Story Behind podcast.
Right.
She sent actually she did this in the Powder and Family Slack group. She said, listening to Brand X now, the guys did such a good job with Crime and Cocktails. I hope they listen. And another guy on Twitter, Caleb Edwards, and he is half of the Netflix and Swill podcast. He said, dropping them a 1-star review now. Suck a dick, dumb shits. At first, I thought he was talking about me, suck a dick, dumb shits. I'm like, what? But then after several times rereading the podcast before I went off, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. And then we had another one. Okay. What they did was they copied our podcast. So 2 Crime and Cocktails. I've been monitoring the situation. Mm-hmm. They haven't put out another episode yet. But what happened was that Poops Your Pants in the Morning, all their reviews have been wiped away from iTunes.
Really?
Right. So now...
They've been expunged. As if they never existed.
So now if you go to Crime and Cocktails and go to iTunes, they have 21 ratings. 18 of them are 1-star reviews. And 3 of them are 5-star reviews. And I'm
going to go out on a limb here and say that the 3 that are 5-star reviews are probably from themselves.
Well, here's the 5.
You don't exactly have to be Sherlock Holmes here.
Yeah, here's the 5-star ones. The title: "I Like It" by Fillmore Corningstone. And they say, "Like it, but audio quality is horrible." Then here's another one. "An Acquired Taste," another 5 stars, by Porthole Pirate. "I find it interesting." And then another 5-star one. This is all on the same day, yesterday, by Pearly Princess. "Pretty fun podcast. Great podcast, but get better mics." So that was the 3. The other ones were just like, holy cow, did they unload on these people?
Yeah, well, what did they think? What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. Oh, holy cow, Ma. Look at all these 1-star reviews. I told you boys not to get on that pooter box and type out those reviews. Now they're all mad. Look what they're doing.
But that's intriguing that all their previous 31 one-star reviews that they put out are all gone.
Oh yeah, somebody went to Apple, to iTunes, and they reported them. They told them. I was offended.
Is that how it went down, or do you think that they withdrew them themselves?
No, I'm pretty sure they didn't. Maybe.
I mean, maybe there's a smidge of integrity. I don't know.
Like I said, I only have 2 balls. Neither one of them are crystal. I put one up there. It says, "This show is drunk, but it's not funny. Wow, the show is a train wreck. The audio quality is horrendous. They have one mic in the middle of the room. The only thing that was on mic was the ice cubes in Mom's glass. One woman was so far off the mic, she sounded like Kenny from South Park. They took almost 10 minutes to even get to the topic. Plus, they hung a bunch of 1-star reviews on Quality Podcast, trying to have listeners come over to this debacle." So that was my review. I think it's fair.
Pretty factual.
Yeah.
You should really go back and listen to the whole thing.
Why?
That's how I felt, dude.
Why do I want to do that?
Yeah. Well, maybe you're self-loathing or something. I don't know.
I guess. I just, I will listen to the next one.
If there is a next one.
Oh, they're going to come back. Mm-hmm. They might not come back right away.
Like Lassie?
Yeah. Hold on, Ma. We got to get us some of these ATR 2100 USB mics. I hear they are all the rage. So we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. Also, we want to talk about the next couple weeks because this is actually our last show of 2016.
Right. Just before Christmas.
Right before Christmas. But now here's the thing. We're not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to go back to the archives from our 31 episodes and pull 2 best of episodes. Now you're like, yeah, that's pretty, look at you saying you have 30, you can actually make a best of. Well, I'm just going to say, if there was 31 piles of dog shit, you could look at them and pick 2 of the best piles of dog shit, and that would be the best of. I'm not saying that they're going to be fantastic, but anyhow, we're not going to leave you hanging. Mm-hmm. So we will be back with live shows Friday the 13th of January.
How prophetic.
How about that? So we've got 31 episodes under our belt. And we've kind of been toying around with a couple things. This has really been we've been really trying out different segments, topics, things to do. And I was thinking, what would you think about us getting a show hotline where we get a number? We would have it would be just a Google voice number. And what they would do is they would call in, leave a voicemail on any of the topics or ask us questions or whatever, and we can address them. Now, we can put a number out there. By the way, we get addressed on media, social media and stuff like that. I don't know if anybody's going to happen, but at least it'll be there. Mm-hmm. And then we can try it. Because I don't understand. Here's the thing. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I think I'm one of a special breed when I say this because I interact with the shows I listen to. Mm-hmm. I follow them on Twitter. I tweet at them. I mean, am I in the minority? I mean, I know you...
Well, based on what I hear from other podcasters, I think that's common.
Yeah.
Like they don't get the feedback from your listeners as they would like to get, I guess. And I don't know if it's because people are just busy or
they just don't, they're afraid to send something out or whatever. But I always, when I listen to people, I kind of feel like I'm part of the group. So I tweet out something to let them know I'm listening and let them know that something that they were talking about kind of struck a chord with me. If I found it funny, I might tweet something back, or I might tweet something to them that's funny, or that I think that's funny, or something. I mean, is that because I'm an attention whore, or because I'm a shit starter, a pot stirrer? Is that probably why I do it more than anybody else? Or maybe because I know what it's like to sit here and go through all this stuff, and then, you say, okay, how about following us on media? Hey, well, everybody, what do you think about this topic?
Yeah,
I don't know. So I figured, listen, why don't we give them some more things to ignore? Exactly.
Well, I think part of it is you hit the nail on the head there is because you do the bulk for anyone that doesn't know. John does the bulk of the work on this podcast. I mean, he edits and he's the sound guy. I'm just along for the ride as I drop shit on my desk.
You do the artwork?
Well, I do that, but I mean, the actual podcast that they listen to, that's all you. So I would think that you and other podcasters, when you put all that labor of love into it, you want to know that you're affecting somebody that, someone's into it. Yeah. Well, no, not like you want to know that, I guess people like what you're doing.
Right.
You want some feedback.
Well, I mean, I can tell by the
because if you're on stage, like if you were doing something live, when you're doing something
feedback
sucky.
by laughter. Yeah.
Right. So
for me, I think that, I would probably do this anyhow. I mean, I enjoy doing this, and I could tell by the downloads, that we're getting there. And then I can tell by, other podcasts that have listened to us and stuff like that, they kind of give us feedback. And listen, if we sucked, Jerry and Dave from Bad Cop,
mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. If we sucked, you think they would say we didn't suck? I mean, they would let us have it. So
and rightfully so.
Right. I mean, they're honest guys. If we sucked, they would say we sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I feel that we're going in the right direction. But I don't think we're there yet. And again, we only have 31 episodes, which is, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but as far as starting a brand new podcast with two guys that really are known by nobody, we don't have any kind of public persona. We're not a Kardashian. We're not famous in anybody. We're not famous.
Well, you don't want to be a Kardashian. I'd like to have their money, but I don't want to be a Kardashian.
Right. So, but, I guess if we ended up getting famous because of this podcast, you could almost say we're famous for doing nothing. I don't know. But what we're doing here, my vision is that if you're on your way somewhere and you're going on a drive and you're sitting around and doing something monotonous, you can listen to us, and hopefully we'll make you laugh. We'll make you think. We'll argue with each other and,
right.
We'll debate. And you can kind of listen in, eavesdrop in on what we're doing. And again, it's not like I'm sitting here. I got Twitter, we got Facebook, we got Instagram. We have an email address. You can go to brandxpodcast.com and /contact, and you can, figure out there's tons of ways to get in touch with us. So if you want to join in on the conversation, join in on the conversation. We won't bite. We're not going to break your balls. Listen, we don't even know you well enough to break your balls yet.
Mm-hmm.
Once we know you and we get familiar with you and we like you, we'll break your balls. If we know you for a long time and we're not breaking your balls, we probably don't like you.
That's not really true.
No?
Yeah.
Dude,
generally you break people's balls. Because they deserve it. Sometimes they do something so ridiculously. That's just a guy thing. Girls don't really do it the way guys do it. I think girls resort more to cattiness, I guess.
All right, so I got to tell you a story.
Got a man named Jed?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It just popped into my head, and I can't believe that I didn't write this down beforehand, but it actually just popped into my head. The other night, I've had this vivid dream that you and I were somewhere, probably, we're probably at this Pittman bar place. No, I don't know where. We were somewhere out. Mm-hmm. And who comes and sits down at the table? The bitter chink.
Oh. And in your dream, did I get up and leave?
No, you guys started hashing it out. You guys started.
You were dreaming.
You would just get up and leave? You wouldn't say anything?
I had nothing to say to him. So.
Really?
Yeah.
It was hysterical. I mean, he just sat down and just started talking to us, and I was like,
most dreams are hysterical, but
yeah. And you guys started laying it on the line. That
ship sailed, struck a reef, sunk like a stone, with all passengers aboard.
Just went down.
I was like the Titanic. It was a mess. Yeah, that ain't happening.
Okay, just checking. Oh, you name names.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you were dreaming.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of other podcasts,
that's a weird thing to just pop into your head.
It just popped into my head. I don't know why it happened, whatever. But then all of a sudden,
I think you're trying to trick me.
No. Why would I do that?
Oh, because you're John. You're a shit starter, a pot stirrer, an attention whore.
Guilty as charged. All right. Well, listen. If you don't like this podcast, if you stumbled across this podcast, there's a bunch of other independent podcasters out there that are doing great work. podcasters like Three is Comedy and Toe on the Trigger and Bad Cop, and the Unwritable Rant. Am I missing anybody else? Can you think of real quick? The Story Behind, real quick podcast,
Did
10
you
minutes.
say Toe on the Trigger?
I did say Toe on the Trigger.
I must have been thinking of something else.
Right. So there's
It's like that line in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I got you. So anyhow, if you're on social media like Twitter, or Instagram, you can always search the hashtag
Bold and the Belligerent.
Bold and the Belligerent. I just started listening to those guys. Mm-hmm. Oh, of course, you know me. Luke was on there, and he said he wants to get into radio or syndication radio, and he was going to send in. And he says, "Well, you got to work clean. You're not going to be able to work clean." He goes, "Okay, I won't curse for the rest of the podcast. If I can curse, then you can do a D&D." And they're like, "You want to do a D&D?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know." And I wasn't sure what that was because I didn't go all the way back. I just started listening. So he goes, "Okay, we'll do that." So within 3 minutes, he cursed. But they're so used to him cursing, they didn't even notice. Mm-hmm. So me, mark the time down, and I tweeted him. I said, "Hey, Luke lost the bet right here. Listen."
You're like the big brother of the internet podcast.
Hey, listen, if you're going to make a bet, okay, and you lose, and no one catches you, I'm like Jimmy.
Then he won the bet.
I'm like the Jimmy.
It's the Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy, what do you do?
I'm here to police the internet.
Now, wait. If he cursed,
right,
and they didn't pick up on it, in my view, he won the bet. It's the same thing as like if you face mask somebody during an NFL game and the refs don't see it and the next play goes off, you got away with one.
Yeah, well, guess what? He didn't get away with it.
Not in John's world.
Not in John's world. So I sent them I said, I don't know what a D&D bet is, but let me see if I could bring that up real quick if it doesn't see if it's not that big of a deal. Let's see. Notifications. All right. All right. Don't get... I'm cutting that all out, just so you know. Now I can't cut it out. Damn you with your sound effects.
A pox on thee, sir.
Yes. My eyes are going 100 mile an hour, right? You know what I'm noticing?
What's that?
We get a lot of notifications. Like we get a lot of tweets back at us.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. So they sent back, "Thanks for listening. We used to roll dice and physically abuse each other depending on what was rolled. Dice of doom." So
okay.
D of D. Returns periodically. So then I sent something. Let me see if I click this, will it give me everything? Here, let's try that.
The old D&D was Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
They're using D&D dice, which would make it even more intriguing.
Right. So then I said, well, here it is right here. This is, where he's, he goes, "Oh yeah, Luke is not exactly a man of his word, but he's outnumbered 3-1 here."
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. But anyhow, to make a short story long, which is what I just did, they ended up in this past podcast, what they had to do, he had to pick between having his fingers snapped in a rat trap. Oof, right?
Like a rat trap or a mouse trap?
A rat trap.
A rat trap will break your fingers.
Exactly.
That's foolish.
Or he got the sling. They took a ball, like a hard plastic ball, and hit him with a slingshot. Put it in a slingshot and slingshotted him with the ball.
In the gonads?
Well, I don't know where they hit him, but he's like, he had to pick it, so he's like, "Okay, I'll take the slingshot."
Take that right in the fleshy ass.
And they hit him with it. So if you want to go over to
the Bold and
Belligerent show, yes, and go over and see where Luke takes a slingshot. I mean, my God. Oof.
Yeah, that's.
And then they had a really cool thing. Because these guys are all on the same
ball to boot.
They're all friends, so they're all in the same studio and everything. So they had this thing. It was a Christmas episode. So what happens is they get each other gifts, and the one gift was the guy opens it up, and it was the dog blanket out of this dog pen, and it smelled like shit and piss. And they're all like gagging, and they're spraying.
Febreze and Lysol.
Febreze around trying to get the smell out of there.
Oh well, I didn't hear that one yet. Now I can't wait.
Classic. It's classic.
I'm a little backed up on podcasts, so I have to.
Yeah,
I got about 7 that I got in queue ready to go.
Right. Yeah, good show, Bold and Belligerent. But anyhow, if you want to find podcasts like that, go over to the Pod and Family, hashtag that in any social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check it out. And you'll find all kinds of great independent podcasts, kind of like the ones we have right here.
What is the Pod and Family?
Hey, this is Shane.
That's not Shane. That's a robot sent by the government.
And that's Kenny from
I'm
Now
a robot too.
From Now That I'm Older.
More like Now That I'm Robots.
This is Gabriel Russo from the Hollywood Scandals of Yesteryear podcast.
This is Steve from the Drift and Ramble podcast.
This is Nick from the Epic Film Guys podcast.
This is Emily from The Story Behind.
This is Adam from Everyone Has a Podcast.
This is Sean Harrigan from the Cinescape podcast.
We are you, podcasters coming together in a community to help one another grow. So follow us on Twitter at Pod and Family and use the hashtag Pod and Family in your tweets and retweet other people who do the same. Pod and Family, where great podcasts come home.
All right, my friend, I see here Crutch Word Challenge.
Right.
So
this is something that I was trying to work into when Dave and Jerry were here from Bad Cop, and up until that moment, I didn't even know that they were going to be here because we had discussed it on a previous podcast, and they weren't going to be able to make it. They were going to work out the details, and then so I said, well, we'll have this, and I thought it would be something that I could bounce off you. We can go back and forth,
right?
But so I really wasn't prepared for them being here, and I guess it kind of flummoxed me, and then it just, I tanked, I bombed, and they broke my balls, and it was funny. Okay, but basically, John and I, for those of you that listen a lot, have a lot of crutch words that we rely on. And so what I posted in here was 2 relying on crutch words, 1 to see if you can cure it, the Brand X Crutch Word Challenge. Every time you utter your crutch word, you take a shot. Who gets schnockered first?
Me.
So I don't know, man, because I got a lot of crutch words too.
Yeah, but it doesn't take me. I don't drink, so 2 shots and I'm already,
Yeah, but
I'm
I
on my
drink
way.
beer. I drink beer. I don't drink. Very rarely do I drink shots.
Well, what am I drinking a shot of? Jack Daniels? Or even if I drank, if I drank 8-10 shots of beer, I'd be drunk.
Well, there's an idea.
What?
If we did shots, but shots of beer.
Okay.
Because, dude, if we actually did shots, real shots, every time you said to be honest or to be quite honest or to be honest with you, you would be
This would be the
hammered.
shortest podcast ever.
And every time that I stutter and go,
they don't hear most of them because I cut them out in post.
Right. And but some of them you can't cut out because I'll be in mid thought, just trying to grasp what I want to say.
You into a word, right? Which is tough to cut out. But listen, there's one right there.
There's
I'm
one of
already
my
drinking
crutch words right there because I put it on the list.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd be drinking a shot within 30 minutes.
Well, you would drink during. You would have to drink when you say your crutch words,
right?
And then I would have to drink when I said mine.
Well, since I do a lot of the talking here, I would say probably most of the talking.
That's because you always cut me off.
That's a good one.
Well, see what you would have to do. You'd have to have rules. It'd be like the Marks of Queensberry rules. We would have to agree on crutch words, like no more than 3.
We'd have to have somebody in here monitoring. We'd have to bring the Jimmy in.
It's the Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy, what do you do? What do you do?
We'd have to bring him in here and have him listen. And whenever he heard, he'd have the list of the crutch words. And whenever he'd hear it, he'd have to blow a whistle. And then, one of us would have to drink a shot. I'm all for this, just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, I figured I'd throw it out there.
Okay, so listen, why don't we do this?
Because you got that stupid dopey crimes and cocktails thing. Let's do a real drunk podcast. where you start out sober.
Okay.
And due to self-inflicted punishment by uttering your crutch word.
All right. So I was also thinking about this this is happening in 2017.
Okay.
I'm in the blog room. The blog room is, I can touch both walls. So it's 6 foot by maybe 10 foot long. It's just a small room. And I'm thinking, because whenever I want to have a guest or something on, I can't. No one can come in here. We'd be up each other's ass.
Like an open umbrella.
So I'm going to take and move everything out of here. I'm going to go move it into my living room. And I have There's nothing. I don't do anything out there anyhow. So I'm going to
turn that into your studio?
I'm going to turn that into my studio.
Wow.
So now I'll get 2 more. I have the mics. I'll get 2 more mic stands. And if you and Joe and Don or the Jimmy want to come over, we can do this. So what we'll do is I'll get this ready for January 13th podcast. We'll break in the new studio, come over here, and we'll do the Crutch Word Challenge.
Awesome. I better get a taxi.
All right, we'll get your ride home. We'll bring Joe over. Joe can't drink.
Yeah, because it'd be very unwise to drive through Deptford and Woodbury, the 2 most horrific.
Yeah, and there's no place for you to stay here, and I wouldn't want you. If I'm drunk throwing up, I'm throwing you all the fuck out of here. So, the podcast.
Wait a minute. The day that we recorded.
Yes.
Let me check that out, because
we might have to change up the recording day. We might have to make it a day where it's like
we'd have to do it on a Tuesday, because then I'd be off Wednesday in case I get so schnockered that I need that whole day to recover.
Right. Why am I doing
it would have to be like a Tuesday. Any Tuesday that you want. It would just have to be a Tuesday recording.
I'll be so drunk. It'll be like
back in the day at DBK.
When I had that head cold over at Kaminsky's.
Right.
And I ordered 2 shots and I couldn't taste anything.
Was that the day that you butchered your face with that beard trimmer? You came in all clean shaven?
That was the day. That was also when
And none of us recognized John, for those listening. If you know what John looks like with the beard, without that beard, he is the biggest baby-faced individual. It's like, who's that 12-year-old guy?
I was supposed to go out on a date. She canceled on me. I was all pissed off. I tried to trim my beard up. It was so ridiculous looking when I got done. I looked like a faggot. So I shaved the whole beard off. I was sick. I couldn't breathe. We went in. I said to her, bring me 2 shots of Jack Daniels. She walked up with a tray of shots. I took them off the tray, and as she was giving other people drinks, I drank both shots, put them back on the thing, and said, you better bring 3 because I don't think, and I drank, I don't know how many shots I drank that night.
You're channeling your inner Thurgood. One drink ain't enough. You better make it 3.
Holy cow. And then remember, I was eating tablespoons of the white horseradish.
Right.
Just right out of the jar.
Sinuses.
To open up my sinuses. Now, that being said, the next day I woke up, I was right as rain.
Yeah, Jack Daniels and horseradish.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the answer.
Cures the common cold.
Remember that one, the cataclysmic? Boy, nobody had a good night. You were there. Everybody was there. It was like you and Sandy were there. You wound up getting in a gigantic fight because there was some chick there that you guys were going to school with. And unbeknownst to you, like this chick had stolen Sandy's old boyfriend.
Yes.
Do you remember that night?
Yes.
So it was me, Joe, you.
I can't remember that girl's name.
The bitter Asian man, Wave, Don, and these 2 chicks. And I think Karen was there.
Who brought them there? Who brought the women there?
I don't know. You guys all went to college.
They were
I was
from
just
the radio station. They show up. Sandy walks in and the color drains out of her face.
Yeah. And Kathy was there.
Oh,
Karen
she was sitting
there.
on my lap. That's what it was.
Is that what it was?
She was sitting on my lap when Sandy walked in.
She saw red. Oof. Yeah, this was a gigantic. There was there must have been like 13 of us there.
Yeah.
And then I left. I didn't see the fireworks of didn't she throw your keys or something? Or
there was shit being thrown. You
got a dent in your car.
Somebody got a dent in their car. I don't think it was me. I can't remember.
Well, what happened to me, I left to go out with the Argentine Nightmare. And then on the way over there, this girl cut in front of me. And as she cuts in front of me, she gives me the finger. And then I got furious. So I followed her and then followed her and kept following her. And then finally she stopped and she jumped out of the car with some beta male. And then I jumped out and she's demanded an apology. And then I lost my shit. And I was like, you cut me off and you're giving me the finger and I'm supposed to apologize to you. And I was so furious that I punched the quarter panel of the car.
That's right. You dented her car.
Yeah.
And then you called the cops and you had to pay for it?
And I drove a company car. So the next day I was working with my boss and the Belmar Police Department called up. Yeah, it was a fun night.
Okay, good. F*** you.
I had to pay that. I had to pay for the damages and everything.
Oh.
In fact, I met the guy it was her father, and I met him at Rexy's, and Don went with me, and I gave him the check. It was a really socially awkward situation.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And I used to wear my class ring back then. So when I punched that thing, the class ring must have really put a heavy dent in it. And the police officer asked, what did you use on that car? I says, well, I punched it. And he said, you punched it? I says, yeah, I almost broke my finger because, my ring was on there. And he went, oh. And then I'm like, yeah, I wonder why he asked me that. And I'm like thinking about it. I said, that must have left like a perfectly round divot.
Yeah, like a hammer.
They probably thought I like shot it with a gun or something.
Or maybe used a hammer, so then it would be like they could charge you with something else.
Yeah, so it was just, Then I got over to the Argentine Nightmares house, and I was all like a nervous wreck and everything. We went out anyway.
Right.
The next day, I had the retribution came, so.
Well, I had done the same thing. Years later. I had my son in the car. He was like 2 or 3. He's in the back seat, in a child seat. And I'm driving down a 2-lane highway, and a car pulls up in front of me and just cuts from the left lane across my front of my truck and goes into a parking lot. I hit the brakes, locked the tires up, smoke out of the wheel wells. I just missed them. Now I'm furious. I peel into the parking lot, and they're laughing. They think it's funny.
Right.
Well, that's the wrong thing to do. So I get out of the truck, and I go, what are you, some kind of fucking moron? And they go, oh, shut up, old man. That was the second wrong thing to do. So I grabbed him by the back of the hair and drug him over to the car. And then his girlfriend's yelling, let him go, let him go. And of course, I look up into the restaurant and everybody's got their cameras out. So I'm like, all right. So I let him go. And as I was leaving, they're all laughing. They think it's funny. So I said, well, you're lucky there's cameras there. And I took my hand and at the side view mirror, his side view mirror, I just punched straight down on the side view mirror and punched the mirror off his car.
Right.
And he's like, dude. And he comes running over and I go, oh, please take a swing at me. And he goes, I'm calling the cops. I went, all right. And I left. I didn't think anything of it.
When suddenly...
Sir, yes. Did you punch off a side mirror of a car? Well, yes, I did, officer. I told the guy the story. And he's like, oh. He goes, all right. And my son's in the back of the car and all that. So he's like, okay. He says, well, you don't have to do...
Is this at your house? Did they come to your house?
No, I didn't even make it home.
Oh, okay.
Driving. Pull me over. And I told him. I said, listen, I understand. I said, but back in the old day, I said I'd have put his head right through his own windshield. Wow. I said, I just punched the side of his mirror off. I said, I guess I got to pay for that, don't I? He goes, yeah. I go, okay, whatever. I said it was worth it, whatever it was. So I did. I had to pay for it. I forget how much it was.
That's self-correcting behavior. And, next time that guy probably won't get so lucky.
Yeah. Well, you know what I should have done? See, now, again, you go back to that whole woulda, shoulda, coulda thing because I'm a Buchananist and that's how we live. We're the shoulda, coulda. Should have took John home because Ed had been in there for a while. Should have came back, went around the corner, and waited for him.
Like a ninja.
Right. Followed them until they parked and found out where they lived. Mm-hmm. Then waited until it got dark. Cut off every valve stem and broke off both side mirrors and pulled away. That had never caught me. They would have thought about who did it. They probably would have known, but they wouldn't have my license plate number or any of that crap.
Yeah.
See, that whole anger that gets you, that's what gets you in the beginning.
Yeah, I remember how blinded with rage I was. I mean, it's like, I get cut off all the time. But could you imagine having the audacity to cut somebody off and then give that person the finger?
I know.
And of course, I may have been drinking beforehand.
Right.
Because we like I said, we were all like Kaminsky.
We had
what it was? It was the end of the spring semester.
Exactly.
That's what it was.
So we're all there. We were drinking probably, God, if it was the end of the spring semester, I'd probably been drinking since like 12
And
o'clock.
the Tioga trip was up and coming. The summer, you didn't make that trip.
No.
And those two girls, was her one named Tara?
I think her name was Tara.
One of them was Tara. I forget what the other
Look at you with
ones.
the memory.
Yeah, well, eventually it all comes in. That growler is sitting heavily on my brain. But in fact, I'm thinking about getting more of that growler. It's so tasty. But Yeah, it was. She was there, and I forget what her friend's name was, but they were like supposed to go to the trip. Camille was there. That's how many people were there.
Well, dude,
I mean, it was
when you said, "Oh, we're all going to go up," and I said, "Who's going?" and you gave the list of people who were going. I was like, "Yeah, guess what?"
Yeah. Well, after that performance, yeah, I guess not.
I said, I'm not going up there with that because that is a drama fest.
And that's when you found out that Tara had stolen or tried to steal Sandy's previous boyfriend or one of her boyfriends.
Right. Yeah. So when she walked in and saw that girl sitting on my lap, and I'll tell you right now, I couldn't pick that girl out of a lineup right now to save my life. Mm-hmm. So I don't even know what she looks like. But the fact that she was, and she made it sound, that's what it was. She made it sound like her and Sandy were best friends.
Yeah, they were the best
of friends. I
know Sandy. And you're
she
like
comes
thinking,
walking in
know
a bar,
Sandy?
and that girl sitting on my lap, and I'm telling you what, you could feel the heat.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's great to be young.
Yeah. I looked, I was like,
Don got to drive home, I think.
Gots to go. What's that, John?
I think someone got driven home. They were so drunk. Was it Don?
It probably was Don. I don't know. But I have no idea. You know me. I can't remember nothing. I can't remember what I
wasn't
had for
there
breakfast.
for that part of it.
Right.
I was too busy following a girl that cut me off and gave me the finger. That's what I was doing. I'll show you.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore.
No, there's cameras everywhere.
Exactly. You get into a fist fight now, there's like 15 angles of it.
Yeah. They're just
it's
wall-to-wall coverage.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. Damn video. Damn internet.
Everything.
Damn social media.
It's like that meme you see on Facebook. I'm glad I grew up in the 70s and 80s because there was no internet, so everything I did is pretty much a secret.
Right. You can tell stories.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know. I probably would like to have some of that stuff on film. Could you imagine us doing that back in Tioga with the social media we had now?
Well, we got the old videotapes.
Yeah, the video camera that was the size of a real camera.
Yeah, it was like the 12 o'clock news cameras. Got John breaking the bed, Don getting furious at aforementioned breaking of the bed.
Was it my fault?
Well, yeah. You broke the bed. Was it my fault? I wasn't in the bed.
Well, the bed broke. It's not like I was jumping up. I wasn't jumping up and down on the bed. There was no hanky-panky going on. There was no way there was any
you and Sandy were both in the bed. It was like a... like a wrestling thing. No, I mean, it wasn't like that. Everyone's always like, ooh. No, it
wasn't like that. It was
just horseplay. Yeah.
I think what happened was we were laying in bed, I tickled her, and she moved or something like that.
That's what it was, and she collapsed.
And the bed collapsed.
Right.
And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it was just horseplay.
Right.
And then, it was louder than
Don
shit.
was not very happy.
No.
Well,
not at all.
Did we fixed the bed, I think.
I
don't know.
I guess we did.
I don't know if we could have fixed that bed. From what I remember, I think
Pat's bed. Yeah,
it was. From what I remember, it was on. We slept for the rest of the trip on the floor on the mattress.
Like a futon. Yeah.
That's
when we had the Brand X pancakes.
That's when we had the Brand X pancakes. John, I would make the pancake the size of the frying pan.
I got to dig that picture up.
Right, you've been putting.
You know what though? I'd have to crop the shit out of it
because
you're wearing your long johns in it, and I don't know if you want that in social media. So
as long as you don't put that one picture of me standing behind the propane tank in my long johns
and your shotgun
and my rifle. I think I had the rifle at the time.
Yeah.
That's the only one you can. I shouldn't say that because I don't know what you have. But you have been putting up pictures over on Facebook, Brand X, or over at facebook.com/BrandX.
The Facebook page.
Yeah, the Facebook page. So you can go over there and see some of that. Some of the when I was DJing. Back in the day, when I was a DJ,
carrying crates and crates of albums and 45s.
Right. That
gigantic speakers.
That night that you were doing that, the night of that picture, I was drunk.
It was New Year's Eve. We were all drunk.
I was plastered.
Yeah, me, you, and Don.
There was no way I'd be doing what I was doing that night unless I was drunk.
It's like that picture, like when I was like, look, I knew where it was, vaguely where it was. I'm going through the photo albums. And then you get to it, and it's like, and you see all that brown hair like everybody has.
I know. Brown beard, brown hair.
Took my breath away. Like, oh, who's that guy?
I know. Who's that handsome devil?
But at least I got my, did I tell you the story of the girl that cuts my hair? It was like she used to cut my hair years ago, and I went in there and she asked, I never used to put anything, gel or anything like that. I never put anything in my hair. So he says, oh, do you want gel in your hair? I says, yeah, you might as well start doing that now. I says, oh, why? I says, well, all this gray hair that's coming in, the gray hair is lighter than the hair that still has color. So it kind of like it looks frizzy, like you've been electrified or something. Mm-hmm. And as he just put some gel in there just to mat it all down and everything, he says, well, we have this new dye that just targets the gray. No. Well, why not? He says, because all my life I broke the balls of people that dyed their hair. Oh, and you don't want to be a hypocrite? Exactly. But she was all like put out, like, because I wanted to stand on principle.
Right.
Like,
well, no, I did it. I did it at first. When I started.
Did you? You did that?
When I started to go gray. Yeah, I started to. I did I'm a pussy. I'm vain, and I just started.
I'm shocked at you.
Yeah, I did my beard and my hair for a while, and then finally I just
did it start to turn red?
No, it actually nobody noticed. You didn't know. No one knew.
Yeah, but it was periods of time. Then I would go months without seeing you.
Right. So finally, I don't know what happened, but it had been a while since I got my hair cut. And they cut my hair, so they cut out all the coloring. And when it was left, it was like it is now, it was white. I mean,
so they basically they left the nubs down.
Right. I got down.
Which had no
color
so then
it grew out. And I went in and I said, hey, listen, we got to color this. And they're like, no. I'm like, what do you mean no? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, you look good. I love that white hair. You look like James Bond or, the guy from, it looks good. Don't do anything with that. Guys would kill for hair like that.
So what they knew was you were susceptible to marketing.
Yeah, they talked me out of getting my hair cut.
Oh, it looks great. Okay.
I'll tell you what. If I could do it tomorrow and look like I did back then, I'd do it tomorrow.
Really? You would dye your hair? I would
dye my hair tomorrow. But the problem is that it grows too fast, and then you got them stupid. You get the guys that if you keep up with it, then it's not a bad thing. But
it's like another job.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't keep up with it, so I'd be that guy that looks like he's got like a hockey helmet on, like a black hockey helmet.
Truthfully, I think not so much the hair coloring thing. That's a whole different stratosphere. But guys that are. It's a shame. I mean, I sympathize. I'm fortunate. I mean, my hair's thinning out, but I still got a head of hair. Mm. But the guys that go bald, like at a real young age, and I can't even imagine what that's like. All right, but
sucks.
Well,
I'll tell you right now, it sucks.
No, I mean, even younger than you were when I met you. There's a guy that I went to high school with. By the time he was 20, dude, bald.
Had that whole the earmuffs like right around the ears and around the back.
Oh, the friar tuck?
The friar tuck. Well, the friar tuck is just a circle in the back. I had the friar tuck for years. Mm-hmm. I still have the friar tuck.
But the thing is, I think I don't think it looks bad. I think when it looks bad is when you do stupid stuff like, grow the real long hair on the side and do the swoop
comb over.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if you wear a toupee the toupee that's so bad it looks like you're wearing a chin strap to keep it down. It's like
your hair's gray, but you have a black.
I think people respect you more if you just go with it.
Right.
And just I'm bald. So what?
Yeah, your hair's gray, and you put this brown beaver pelt on your head. You tape it to your head.
There was a guy I worked with down at the car dealership. And he had a bad toupee. Like it was horrendous. Oh, it was horrendous. And he was a young guy. So, I mean, like I said, he falls right in this thing. I was like 38 then, and he was like 23, 24. And he was he went the toupe route.
Yikes.
And I was like, dude, what do you, I was, and he would always like complain that like, about dating and how hard it was. And, how, I says, well, the first thing you should do is lose that toupee. Oh, I can't do that. I said, dude, what do women always say that they want? They always say in a guy they want honesty.
Right. So these are the ones with the hair plugs and the fake nails and the fake tits and all that, and they want a real guy.
Well, I don't know if that's what this girl was doing.
The fake makeup, the fake everything. I was like,
But I said to him, I said, if you go walking in there with a toupee, the first thing that you're screaming is not honest. Right. And to them, psychologically, they might be thinking, well, if this guy's lying to me about having hair, what else is he going to lie to me about? He lost that toupee, man. And I'll tell you what, man, he was hip deep in pussy. He was like, I mean, it changed his whole life. He thanked me like, oh, I got to thank you. I would have never thought. I says, well, dude, it's like,
Deuce, I'm hip deep in pussy.
He's like, yeah, he had dates lined up forever. And before that, when he was wearing the toque, it was like, I says, I think people as a whole, I think they just respect you better if you just go with it. Because in the grand scheme of things, it's less hair to comb, but more face to wash. That's all.
Basically. I'm not saying I don't disagree with you. But, I just like having dark hair. Like, I see those pictures now.
Oh, the dark hair, yeah. I'm
the dark
on
hair.
board with that.
I'm not going to get hair plugs or any of that crap. I'm not going to do something like that. I just don't like the white hair.
That's something, if you were going to do that, I mean, you almost, like Genghis used to say, well, that's something if you, like, move to Florida where nobody knows you,
right?
And then you do that shit. But if you're going to do that among people you grew up with and know you, and, like, suddenly you come in with, like, an Arthur Fonzarelli pompadour, we're going to know something's up.
Look at you, kind of. Your head cocked.
Fonzie, get over here.
It's not going to work.
Turn on that jukebox.
I understand what you're saying. But, I mean, like right now, I was looking the other day, and I have the beard growing back out, but it's short, and I kind of like this. I kind of got that. Right now, I got the Ernest Hemingway look going. The older Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I got the white hair, the white beard.
All you need is 1,000 cats crawling around on you.
Well, that's not happening because I'm allergic.
6-toed cats too.
Yeah, that's not happening. But anyhow, so that's what I want to do is I'm going to go with that route. I'm going to go back to the full beard instead of
classic
just the goatee.
John.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to classic
Coke,
John.
Classic John.
Right, except white. I'm as white can get.
Yeah. Well, it's at the point now we've had the gray hair longer than we had the dark hair.
That is
pretty
true.
Much at that point now.
Right now, I look like I have half glass of milk on my shoulders. I mean, that's what it is.
Cod milk.
Real quick note. One of the things I found out today about, one of the things I won't do anymore is I won't go up to a drive-through.
No, I never do. I hate this.
I'll go, to get a cup of coffee or something like that, listening to the Bad Cop show. Because every time I pull up to the window, and they'll be sitting there talking or something like that, and I'll open the window, and they'll say something like, and whatever they say, don't get me wrong, it's funny, but the person behind the window is usually from another land, and they look at me, and I'm like, geez, I'm going to get my coffee. Someone's going to spit my coffee now. So I said, I got to...
So that window opens, and you smell the curry, and it's...
Exactly. I think I even messaged Dave and Jerry. I said, listen, I gotta mute the Bad Cop show before I go to the drive-thru, or I gotta learn how to spit.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
I'll tell you what, those guys, there's no holds barred there with them two. Holy mackerel, what they talk about! What a funny show. Love it. Can't wait to listen to it every time it comes out. They just there's a
rocking back and forth.
Oh yeah, boy. They apparently there was some kind of big Christmas party last night, so they had a picture of the two of them, Dave and Jerry, together, and they're pointing to each other, and then apparently as soon as the picture was taken, Jerry went and threw up. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true.
Wow.
Or not. Yeah. So
was he drinking bourbon?
What else does he drink? Seems like he does. Allegedly. He likes a touch of the bourbon, from what I understand.
Allegedly bourbon. That's according to what Dave said.
Right. So, apparently. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm sure the story will be next week.
Perhaps Juliet Miranda would have been able to help him out with that.
Oh, I did something with her, too. She does this thing. Well, on Twitter, they have this thing, #FF, which used to mean Follow Friday. So if you had a bunch of people, you'd put that on and everybody would follow, and then you would get more followers. Well, she did a FF Follow Friday with a bunch of podcasts, but we weren't on it. And I was like,
gee.
Hey.
I wonder why, John.
So what
You're shocked at this?
I was a little shocked and hurt. I'm not going to lie. I was a little hurt. So I took the tweet and I retweeted it, and I said, "Hey, here's some podcasts that Juliet likes. You should follow them." See what I did here? So basically, I glommed onto her tweet. I was like a hanger-on. I was like a dingleberry. Right. So then Dave, the producer, he goes, "Oh, I hate to see a grown man cry. Please follow Brandon's podcast on Twitter." Stirring the pot.
Like the fucking Fuller Brush man.
Yeah.
You know, going door to door.
Love that Twitter. Love messing around with that Twitter. Oh, so then with the Bold and Belligerent podcast, so since Dave and Jerry put their picture out there, and since they take and Luke's picture, they take and Photoshop his head on everything like Whistler's mother and all this other stuff. Of course, I take the picture and I go, "Oh, look, bold and beautiful." Now that you have Jerry and Dave's picture,
belligerent,
bold and beautiful,
and belligerent, bold and the beautiful.
Isn't that a soap opera? Whatever. The Bold and Belligerent. I said, "Hey, now that you got their pictures, let's the Photoshop war begin." And then, so yeah, you know me. So I'm always mixing it up on Twitter. So come on over and join me on Twitter. Go to brandxpodcast.com/contact. It has all our social media links over there. You can just jump on and say hello to us, hang out with us, break balls with us. You got nothing better to do. What else are you going to do, right?
Right.
All right. Well, listen, thank you very much for listening to Brian Deck's podcast.
This epic podcast.
This epic podcast. So what? No one's probably listening right now as it is anyhow. They listen for about an hour and then they say, "Fuck these two." You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and always at thebrandxpodcast.com. And if you want to check us out, you just hit the little icon, the photo art there that Deuce did, and it'll pop up and the links will be right there. And we would also love it if you connect with us on social media. Like I said, go to brandxpodcast.com/contact and click on whatever you like, the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter. Mm-hmm. And we would love it if you came over and hung out with us. And, hey, listen, since we're not going to be here for the next 2 weeks, have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas if you're Christian. Happy Hanukkah if you're of the Jewish persuasion. And then Kwanzaa if you celebrate that. And then if you celebrate Festivus for the rest of us, get that pole out.
That's on the 23rd.
It's the 23rd. The aluminum pole.
The airing of grievances.
The airing of grievances.
You people make me sick.
I've got a lot
of issues with you people.
Right, exactly. So have a good holiday, and then we will be back the 13th, Friday the 13th. But we will have some bests of. And I think we have some pretty good. I've been looking through the old spots, pulling clips and stuff like that. So we should have a pretty good. I think you'll like it. I think you'll enjoy it. I was thinking even if maybe Deuce, if I gave you a couple clips that you could do the intro for it. Hey, here we were talking about this or something like that. You could record it.
Yeah, I can do that.
That's what I figured. That's what I like. So anyhow,
I'm easy. I'm a tree. I can bend.
There we go.
Some people are stumps. They don't bend at all.
I guess I'm a stump.
No, you're pliable.
That's right. I'm very pliable. All right, everybody. Have a good holiday, and we will see you January 13th.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
You had to say it, didn't you?
Yep.